What's up you guys, it's Techrodd. Welcome to this After Effects tutorial and this is episode 4. And in this episode we'll be talking about the effects and how to use them and how to animate with effects. What we're going to do today is going to talk a little bit about my birthday, it was yesterday. I'm going to talk about what are effects, the applying of effects and animating effects, and also the adjustment layers to apply the effects to. Yesterday it was the 22nd of March 2013 and that was my 18th birthday. It was pretty awesome, but that doesn't matter now. Let's do the tutorial. Okay, so let's open up After Effects. First off, what we're going to do is going to apply another workspace. So on top over here you can see workspace and we're going to choose effects and you get this workspace. So it's optimized for effects just for this tutorial. Alright, so what are effects? Effects it's pretty simple. For example, you have a nice clip and you want to add a glow to it, so some extra glow or maybe a blur, doesn't matter what you apply to it. Those are effects and you can animate those effects. What we're going to do now is going to apply the effect to a layer. So first off, we're going to create a new composition, default settings, there we go. A new layer. Oh, let's make it black and black layer. There we go. Okay, in the last tutorial we've seen how to animate text. Okay, so we got our animation. First off, we're going to import a nice background layer, so we don't have just a black background. Give me a second. You know, guys, you have to do that as well. So we have the animation, and what I'm going to do now is going to apply an effect and make it blur in and blur out. What we're going to do is simple, very simple. Going to make a new layer, an adjustment layer. And adjustment layers is actually nothing. That's just an empty layer. Let's put it that way. And you can apply effects to it, and all those effects will be applied to the layers underneath it. Okay, apply the blur effect to it. We can find it here. So first I'll select the layer and we can find it here at effects on top over here. But you have to go to search for it, and that's kind of time wasting. So we're just going to over here, you can see the window, effects and presets, and we're going to search blur, and over here we got Gaussian blur. So apply that effect to that layer just by dragging and dropping or double clicking. So double clicking works too. And yeah, so we got our effect applied. We can't see anything changed yet. For example, over here you can see blurriness. It's at 0, and we're going to increase that to, let's say, 10 or 11. And we can see it's kind of blurred. The text is blurred, the background is blurred, and yeah, that's very simple. As you can see, it's blurred, but it stays blurred all the way up. So we're going to animate blur. As we've seen in the last tutorial, you know how to animate it just by clicking the stopwatch over here and pressing U on our keyboard to open the keyframes from that layer. And we can see our keyframe over here. And we're going to place it, let's see, at 2 seconds. Now we're going to place the 11 keyframe over here and the 0 one over here, so it's not blurred anymore, so it goes blur in. Alright, there we go. And same thing for the end. 0 1 here and 11 here. Okay, so that's pretty awesome, isn't it? Okay, now for example, I don't want the blur to be applied to the text over here. Just want the text to fade in and without blur. So Very simple, just going to drag and drop the adjustment layer underneath the text. There we go, and you can see the text is not blurred, but the background is. If you want to change the keyframes a little bit, there we go. Okay, so that's done. That's, for example, for Gaussian blur. Over here on top at effects, we can see there are a lot of effects, but might be some you don't have. For example, magic bullet looks, or a vision plugin, or the Foundry, or Video Copilot. You might not have those. Actually, you don't have those. You have to install. Those are third-party plugins. Those are not installed in After Effects itself, but you have to install it separately. And those plugins cost a lot of money. But I will make tutorials for those plugins in the future, and how to work with those only, and also how to get it. For this tutorial I won't be using any third-party plugins, just normal plugins. If you do want those plugins, you gotta have to search for it yourself, so if you have to ask me through inbox. Now we're going to create a new composition, and let's call it final, and make it a little bit longer, for example 20 seconds, there we go. And we want this animation, this composition in that other composition. Very simple, just go to your project over here, and over here you can see comp 1, that's this one, and we're going to drag and drop it over here, and we got our animation in that composition. And when we can double click it to edit some animation, for example, and we can go back by switching there. Okay, so why do we need to put this in a new composition? It's because I want an extra animation to go behind it. So I want to have the text say by Techrodd, for example, behind this animation over here, and we're going to first make a duplicate of it. So when we're sure we're done here with this animation, we're going to make a duplicate in the project file over here. So Ctrl D, and we made a duplicate of that composition. And when you drag and drop it over here, you can see it's the same, but when we double click it and, for example, change the text, and we're going back to our final composition, you can see the text has changed, but the other composition it hasn't, so that's different. You can see those are different compositions. There we go. But I want a transition to happen between those two compositions, and we're not going to make that transition ourselves. We're going to use some presets for it. So first I'm going to drag them a little bit underneath each other's. There we go. Going to make a new adjustment layer, and we're going to put our time thingy over here in the middle somewhere, or in the beginning, from those overlays over here. And we're going to apply a transition which is pre-made by After Effects itself to this adjustment layer. Now over here we can see at Effects and Presets window, we can see animation presets, and when we click that little arrow over here, we can see some folders. And we can see transitions, dissolves, movements, wipes, etc. I'm going to click it open, and for example I want a ripple to happen, so it ripples between those two compositions, and just by those are presets, so we're going to drag and drop it to here, and we can see it applies 3 different effects which are already animated. So I didn't do anything of that, just installed in After Effects. You see 3 different effects, and as we can see, it ripples. Here's black, and here we can see it again, and suddenly the by Techrodd appears. So we don't want that. We want to do that differently. So over here you can see Dissolve Master Control. I'm going to click that open. It's probably with most of them. Most of the animation presets, they have a master control, and when we click our U, for opening the keyframes. You can see those. There are two keyframes here, and we're going to place this one over here and that one over here. So a little bit. Okay, over here. And as we can see, it stays. It is not black here anymore, and it fades out and ripples. Now we can see it stays black. We want to change that, so we're going to copy this keyframe over here, Ctrl C, and then Ctrl V over here, and we're going to put this one over here, and the other one in the middle. Okay. We can see it's not done yet. You know what we're going to do? You know what, we're going to do this. Yeah, you don't have to worry about this. That's just some effects, automatic effects. So don't bother. As you can see, it ripples out and ripples in. It's kind of cool. There we go. Now you don't always have to use an adjustment layer. You can also apply the effects to a composition or just a text layer over here. Now effects apply also to texts, as I said before, but those are kind of special. For example, we can animate the text to go each letter from each side, coming in and coming out, but we don't have time to do that. We just want to apply the effect and be done with it. So very simple. Just select your text layer, go to over effects and presets, click open the text over here, and choose animate in. We can see some animations, for example, fade up lines, fade up words, line in from bottom. We want some random words to shuffle in, so we can see random words shuffle in, and we have to apply those effects to here. But first we're going to put this one in the beginning. Okay, so just select it and drag it on top of the text, and you can see two lines. And you can see those lines are moving. As you can see, it's kind of animating. See? The After Effects is first fading in, then the effect is fading in, then tutorials is fading in. It's pretty awesome. But for example, I want to do it the same thing, so we just have to open up, just have to click U for a layer, and just to search for the master control, and that's the range select over here, I think, as you can see. Yeah, that's this one. We're going to copy those keyframes, and we're going to paste them at the end, and we're going to let them switch places. So 100% set here and 0% over here. As you can see, it fades out. Now that's neat, isn't it? We're going to do the same thing for the other composition. So okay, so we got our animation text. But first off, we're going to save our project. So just going to save by pressing Ctrl S. Let's name it first animation with effects. Save somewhere, you know where it is. So for example, we want our video uploaded to YouTube, and how are we going to do that? It's called rendering. Rendering an animation you made is kind of hard for new users, so I made a tutorial for it. It's already uploaded. I will place a link in the description to it. Alright, so thank you for watching this After Effects tutorial for effects. I hope I was of any help. If you have any question, please ask. I will try to answer them as fast as possible. Alright, so please like and comment and subscribe for more.